Welcome in, everyone, to the UCR Football Show presented by Fire and Vine. We're live on the rooftop of Fire and Vine. I'm Jacob Vincent. That's Noah McKay. It is round one of the playoffs here in the state of Tennessee. Across the classifications, the regular season is done. Basketball season just a couple of weeks away as well. But we're talking all football tonight on the rooftop of Fire and Vine. Glad to have you along here on the UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel. Noah, it's an exciting week in football. It's an exciting week across the Upper Cumberland, and there's a lot of good football games that are going to be played tomorrow night.
A lot of games tomorrow. We get one, it's interesting because we're on normal rest. We had a ton of Thursday games last week. We get a bunch of Thursday games this week. I'm so excited. The playoffs are here, Jacob. I know yesterday we did our basketball preview, starting that series, and the comments were, it's still football season. Oh, baby, we know it's still football season. Don't get it twisted. We're just getting a head start on the other as well. We can do both right here at UCR. I'm juiced up. Some good matchups this week. Really some huge developments last week as well as this bracket came into form in all 6 of these classifications. A ton to get into. I know I'm excited about this show. I know you're excited about this show. Let's get it on.
Let's get into it. If you're tuned in on the UCR Facebook page, please hit that share button. Comment along with us tonight. Let us know what games you're looking forward to. Make sure you hit that like button. Helps us out more than you know. You can do the same on YouTube. Comment along with us. Make sure you like the stream and subscribe to the channel on YouTube as well. Once again, this is the UCR Football Show presented by Fire and Vine, live right here on the rooftop of the beautiful Fire and Vine in downtown Cookeville on the historic west side. Speaking of, they're an all-inclusive sponsor. Let's give a big shout out to all of our all-inclusive sponsors for making everything that we do here at UCR possible. That includes Watson Chevrolet, as you're watching it right here on the Watson Chevy UCR Media Network. Mayberry's Furniture, who are going to be the presenting sponsor of the high school basketball game of the week, already the high school football game of the week sponsor. And we appreciate Mayberry's Furniture joining us for another season. Nelson Trophy and Screen Printing, the longest running all-inclusive sponsor here at UCR. Amonette's Eagle Auction and Realty. Swallows Insurance. Tee Up in Baxter. Sonia Brown with American Way Real Estate. Nick's Restaurant. Turf Masters Landscape Management. The Real Estate Collective. Livingston Regional Hospital. Fire and Vine. The Quality Family. The Crouch Team with Highlands Elite Real Estate, and Legacy House. Thank you so much to all those people and businesses for making everything that we do here at UCR possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of things. You mentioned Mayberry's Furniture. So good to have them on board with us here as we move forward with this partnership between us and them, those locations in Crossville and Cookeville. We're getting a new recliner from there. You should go do the same as well. Whichever you're closest to, go check them out. Tell them that we sent you. We're happy to have them back at that high level. All these all-inclusive sponsors make it possible for all this to be 100% free. Of course, my full-time job's your full-time job, Goose's full-time job, all these freelancers that we have that do an unbelievable job. We appreciate all of them. Simply doesn't happen. We're not able to get back to the schools the way that we are without these all-inclusive sponsors and all of our other sponsors as well that we talk about. And one little note, if you're going to be dumb enough to try and poach our sponsors, maybe don't go to our top sponsors and probably check where our spouses work before you do so. Let's go.
As we get into it, as always, we start with the UC Top 5 and probably going to be our final week of the UC Top 5 here in round one of the playoffs as teams begin to get eliminated. The Top 5 begins to dwindle down, so this one will be the final week, most likely, of the UC Top 5 here in round one of the playoffs.
Not most likely. It's the last week.
And of course, we'll have basketball
Yes.
coming up here in a couple of weeks as well, which we will unveil on the show in a couple of weeks. So, the final. Round one, UC Top 5 will start at the number 5 spot. It's a new team in that number 5 spot. The White County Warriors, 2 losses in a row now. They haven't scored in a couple of weeks. Fell to Stone Memorial in the final week of the regular season, 16-0. Still in the top 5, but now down at number 5.
Yeah, and listen, White County, a very good team, no doubt about it. And in some ways, when it comes to the rankings perspective, a little bit victims of the schedule, obviously. The 2 teams that they've lost to the last 2 weeks, Jacob, are very high up on this list. So it's not that we ignore that White County's lost 2 games. It is no doubt a factor. It's why they slide down another spot this week. But recognition of, okay, they've lost to 2 really good teams last week, a much more competitive game than the one 2 weeks ago. We did have a look. One team that's come out of nowhere. We absolutely had a look at the Cookeville Cavaliers here.
Absolutely.
And we had a look at the Macon County Tigers here. But ultimately, as Goose is tuning in, he got a kick out of that. If you know, you know. Head-to-head holds a lot of weight, particularly with Goose. I think it holds more weight, and he is the most consistent at that in the world in every sport. And White County does have the head-to-head victory over Macon County and over Cookeville. So you can get into that resume versus how you're playing right now debate. But White County, very good, and they got a great opportunity this week to kind of get back rolling and change the tenor of their season again back to the way it was a couple of weeks ago.
We'll talk about the White County Warriors coming up in just a little bit, but they are at number 5 on the UC Top 5. That means the number 4 team, the Clay County Bulldogs, 9-1 throughout the regular season as they got a big win against Joe Burns in that final week of the regular season, 46-21. And it doesn't matter if we pick Clay County or not, Coach Lamb's going to give us a call.
He is, no doubt about it. And the thing with Clay County is continuing to win. There is a difficulty for us ranking them and the team that's one above them because of the classification. There's, that is a real factor. And so we were wondering would we have an opportunity to move Clay County up this list because they're playing really good football despite, having limited numbers, under 30 kids on the roster. But at the end of the day, they've continued to take care of business, undefeated against in-state competition, and very similar to the team that's above them on this list by one spot. Would have loved to see that game this year. They have clicked on both sides of the football at the right time. They're now playing really well on offense, really well on defense. The game was over. The starters come out of the game, and then Joe Burns gets on the board. They completely dominated their one region game that we thought could be relatively competitive. The Bulldogs playing great football. Now, they got a South Pitt problem, waiting in round 3, but they're going to be a heavy favorite this week and next week. A very, very good football team under head coach Bruce Lamb and a really good coaching staff around him. And I think you've seen them start to click and find that rhythm between Coach Beatty, Coach Sloan, Coach Lamb, the back half of this season.
So the Clay County Bulldogs at number 4 in the UC Top 5, bringing us to the number 3 spot. The Gordonsville Tigers completed an undefeated regular season, beating Smith County in the final week of the regular season, 29-7, up 29-0 in that ball game as well. 10-0, and you're able to beat your rivals for the region title.
Yeah, great regular season, triple great regular season for Gordonsville. The lone undefeated in the Upper Cumberland, and the path for them. Right there. They have a real route to the gold ball. Them and East Robertson, to me, are the 1 and 2 when you look at the paths that they have. East Robertson on the other side of the bracket doesn't seem like it could be that way, but it is. They have to take care of business. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy road. It's not. They have Marion County to deal with on their half of the bracket, obviously, but very balanced, can run the daylights out of the football. I think very well coached, and I think Steven Jackson has just needed an opportunity to show how good of a coach he is. I think he's one of the bright young coaches in this entire state, and I think he's flexed that this year. They have their culture built in. You know about the tradition. They're going to get a bunch of home games at Turning Ford Field the next month. Watch out for this Tigers team. I think the best chance in the Upper Cumberland for a team to win a state championship.
That brings us to the top 2 teams in the UC Top 5. At number 2, the Stone Memorial Panthers, 9-1 on the season. Big win against White County in the final week of the regular season, 16-0. Coach Samber had one of the all-time quotes after that game. We can't say it, but it was an all-time quote. It was tremendous. Huge win in that final week of the regular season. They've won 5 games in a row. I think 5 or 6 games in a row now. 6 games in a row for Stone Memorial coming into the playoffs. It looked like a completely different team from those first 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the offense, and rightfully so, led by Mr. Football candidate Noah Potter. The Stone Memorial defense, the last 4 games, has been dominant. Completely stifled Livingston Academy. Held DeKalb County to 7 points. The shutout last week against White County in a game conducive to White County's strengths and some of Stone Memorial's perceived weaknesses. A mud pit. Without question, they're in Crossville, and they were able to get in a phone booth and win a game of that style. I've been so impressed with this Stone Memorial team. They are really, really good. And their path becomes very interesting. We're going to talk about what happened in 4A coming up and where I was right, where I was wrong. It's not an easy path by any stretch of the imagination, but it is different because we had said all season, if you're the 2, you get Alcoa in the second round. Well, not anymore. Now you get a really good Anderson County team if you're able to win this week, but it is a totally different conversation for the 2 seed. And Stone Memorial, I think all the headlines are Alcoa, Greenville, Upperman, Anderson County. Stone Memorial for me is that 5th team in this classification.
Playing some really good football right now. And again, we'll break down their matchup coming up in just a little bit. That brings us to the number 1 team in the UC Top 5 for this final week of doing the UC Top 5 for football at least. And it is the Upperman Bees, an 8-2 regular season. Huge win against Macon County, 48-17. Dominant against teams across the Upper Cumberland. We're never close in any of those games, and they finish out the regular season with another region title.
Yeah, they defeat their region opponents by an average of 42-6.
That'll work.
Remember that one week they weren't number 1? Yeah, good times. Yeah, they cruised their way down the back half of the season towards this number one spot. Very, very, very good football team, obviously led by another Mr. Football candidate, maybe the favorite in Bronston Chaffin, at least in our eyes. It's not just him. They're loaded outside of him. They're very well coached. They running clocked every Upper Cumberland team they faced. It's a ranking.
Took a little bit to get to Macon County, but they did.
But they got it. They got the scoop and score late. And we'll talk about that. That was not a bad performance at all for Macon County in that game, but it was another running clock for Upperman. And not only did the equation change for Stone Memorial last week, without question, the equation changed for this Upperman team. And as we said a week ago, it is now or never for Upperman. With this group of seniors, with this quarterback, it's now or never. They are the number one ranked team in the Upper Cumberland entering the postseason.
So what a season in the regular season across the Upper Cumberland. That is the final UC Top 5. Number 1, Upperman. Stone Memorial at number 2. The Gordonsville Tigers at number 3, with Clay County at 4, and the White County Warriors at number 5. And then, of course, the honorable mentions in Cookeville and Macon County right on the outside looking in. Cookeville playing some really good football. Macon County a solid season as well. So that's the UC Top 5 for the final week of the year in football. Once again, this is the UCR Football Show presented by Fire and Vine. We're live here on the rooftop of Fire and Vine. I'm Jacob Vincent. That's Noah McKay. So glad to have you along tonight as we get ready for round 1 of the playoffs starting tomorrow with impending weather coming on Friday. A lot of the games getting moved from Friday to Thursday. We'll go over all of those coming up in just a little bit. Let's get to where Noah was wrong, where he was right. Where were you wrong last week?
Yeah, a couple of things. I have completely whiffed. I think half my missed picks this year have been the Jackson County Blue Devils. When I picked them to win, they've lost. When I picked them to lose, they've won. I was back and forth last week again, as I have been a lot of their games this season, and I missed it. I picked Grundy County, was absolutely wrong. I think of all the teams that we cover, still the one where I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And that being said, they're playing great football down the stretch here at the end of the regular season. That was a really good win for them last week, and they're a very dangerous team. They got a tough one this week, but that is a dangerous 4 seed in the Jackson County Blue Devils. They're playing great football, and without question, last week, particularly last Friday, proved I've been wrong on the 4A classification. Now, you don't want to overreact to Alcoa losing a game at Anderson County. That being said, all season we've said it's the not if Alcoa then bucket of teams. And we talked about Greenville and Upperman really being in that, Pearl Cone, Springfield in that bucket. I think Anderson County's win of Alcoa did change that. It's now a dogfight race to a title in this 4A classification. I think 4A and 5A, the most balanced classes. I can't believe you're saying that, but it's true. I went and watched that Alcoa-Anderson County game. Anderson County earned the win. Alcoa up 10 in the fourth quarter. Anderson County gets the win. And some of that mystique and the reality of the situation is, take round 2 out of it. Obviously, we are anticipating a gigantic
state championship,
game.
Same as last year with Upperman Macon County.
A gigantic game next week. But for Alcoa, now the path will look something like if they're going to win their 11th consecutive championship, but first in 4A, they'll win this week handedly at Upperman, then on the road at a Red Bank, Elizabethton, or a Macon County, then on the road at a Greenville, then against a Pearl Cone or Springfield.
Or a Stone, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That path is exponentially different than
especially
4
this
cupcake
season.
games. And we talked about how not every state championship has been close for Alcoa, but they have dominated the eastern half of the bracket in the 3A classification. Was wrong on that. Everybody was wrong on that. You give Alcoa the tip of the cap, they're still your favorite, I think, unless you're crazy, to win a state championship. But the shape of this class is very different than it was 6 days ago.
So that's where Noah was wrong, where he was, where were you right?
So as we look at the top 5, final top 5 of the season, Upperman, Stone Memorial, Gordonsville, Clay County. I was very high on all 4 of those teams entering this season. If you would have told me preseason that those ended up being our top 4, I think that's probably what I would have told you that it would be. So feel like I had a pretty good grasp on that the upper echelon of the Upper Cumberland this year. I am doing a big retrospective back because it's the end of the regular season, but I feel like we had a pretty good grasp. Now, certainly there are some teams much better than we anticipated, a few teams having not as great seasons as we anticipated, but at top of the top, I feel like we had a pretty good idea, and I was right about that entering the season.
So that's where Noah was wrong, where he was right. Let's get into the portion of the show where we break down some of the games from last week. We'll talk about our upcoming broadcast games both tomorrow and on Friday. Just one broadcast game coming up on Friday. And we'll start with the game that Randy's talking about, the Mud Bowl, where you were last week. It was the weather obviously was not cooperative getting ready for the game. At least during the game, it was fine, but the field it took a beating during that game as Upperman beats Macon County 48-17. The Bees led at halftime 21-3. Defensively for the Bees, played tremendous. Limited Macon County to just 146 total yards of offense. The Bees, 416. And for Macon County, they had 16 first downs in this game.
They did.
But they had 3 lost fumbles in this game as well. Weren't able to hold on to the football. Weren't able to get those drives, continue to get those drives going, and couldn't stop the Upperman offense.
Yeah, maybe a testament to the Bees that we say this was by far the most competitive region game that they've had, as Macon County continues to hold that, honor for themselves that they have been the biggest competition in region play to Upperman. This is interesting. Once Andrew Bohan got hurt, and we'll see if he's able to come back. They could probably get him an extra week of rest this week. Obviously, they'll need him. He's been one of their best players on that defensive line. He's been unbelievable this year. He left that game, and Macon County started to find some things on the ground. Upperman did shift the defense in the second half. Not sure if that was in response to the Bohan injury or just going to play a little bit more base defense and keep everything in front, which they did. But Macon County, a testament to the Tigers, was able to drive in that second half. To me, again, as I've said about virtually every game, more about Upperman's dominance than any problem with Macon County. They've got a big opportunity coming up on Friday night that we will talk about. But I felt like, and I said it on his long 60-yard touchdown, Bronston Chaffin won Mr. Football on Friday night, or Thursday night, rather. He was just dominant. He's been dominant this entire season. If the award is what they say the award is, I don't know how you don't give it to that kid when you consider the value that he brings to that football team.
We talked about his numbers, obviously, on the Thursday Night End Zone show. Again, we'll have the Thursday Night End Zone show this week with a lot of the games happening on Thursday. Over 3,000 total yards, passing and rushing, 36 total touchdowns in 10 games.
And really, and probably about 6.5 of game time because of all the running clocks where he's not playing in fourth quarters or in second half. So, and then you talk about Upperman's defense. I know that the rain was a factor. Obviously, the matchups were a factor. It wasn't raining, but it was a wet field. And that was a Friday game. I keep getting them bounced back and forth. That was a Friday game. It is 2 consecutive weeks without a completed pass against this Upperman defense. And regardless of scheme.
You were right. That one was Thursday. We had Livingston DeKalb on Friday.
You're right. Thank you. Details are important. We'll get them right. Thank you. That was Thursday. But back-to-back weeks with no completed passes. And what we know is Elijah Fitz as an eraser of half the field. You've got Carmine Phillips on the back end of your defense. You've got Schaefer, who's a really underrated corner for them. And then you've got Colton Johnson, who tomahawked Macon County's tailback at the goal line. I mean, just straight nuclear missile to force a fumble. 120-something tackles for Colton Johnson this year. They're really, really good. The defense is playing at an elite level, and the offense has been at an elite level since the opening kickoff of the season.
Bronston Chaffin, 255 yards on the ground. He accounted for 4 total touchdowns, 110 yards through the air as Upperman beats Macon County 48-17. How about those Cookeville Cavaliers? They beat Lebanon last week 24-7. Unfortunately, it didn't mean anything for the seeding just because of what Gallatin and Wilson Central did on the other side of the region. But 3 teams finished at 3-2, one of those being those Cookeville Cavaliers in region play. It's now 3 wins in a row for these Cavaliers as well. Their most complete football game in that Lebanon win. They won it 24-7, down 7-3 at halftime, outscoring Lebanon in the second half 21-0, and taking on a Lebanon offense and especially a rushing attack that had Gian Izetta, who had rushed for over 250 yards in 3 straight games coming into this.
Not on Friday
Now, he
night.
was still over 100. He had 114, but that's all he had.
Yep.
And it was a tremendous defensive effort for this Cavalier team. Had a goal line stand 7 plays within the 5-yard line, force a field goal, and they miss it. Able to get an interception, return it inside the 5 to set up a score. Blake Barrett had a heck of an effort. He had over 100 yards again in a score hunt. Reese was able to get into the end zone a couple of times. This Cavalier team playing their best football. Unfortunately, they got a pretty tough test coming up that we'll talk about.
Yeah, arguably the best team in the entire state, certainly in the public school classification. If you would have told me Cookeville won the game, I probably would have been surprised, not stunned. 24-7, statement made. And for Cookeville, it seems like the last 3 weeks they've exercised the demons that plagued them early in the year. Maryville, just more horsepower. FRA, more horsepower. But what plagued them in the Green Hill game, the Gallatin game, the White County game, and certainly in the Siegel game, 4 games right there that you feel like this version of Cookeville has a great chance to win those 4 games. So much better in the second halves, and it is a testament to the culture that they built there and to these players that they've stayed bought in when nothing was going right on a 3-game winning streak. And you've earned the right to game plan this week against a sensational football team. But your play over the last 3 weeks after the off week, credit to these coaches and these players, and you get to go on the road. I was thinking maybe don't move the game. They end up moving it because, any little advantage you can get, albeit to turf field, but a little win couldn't hurt anything when you go play Oakland. But regardless, they've earned the right to game plan for this game and put the ball down and see what happens. A great turnaround for the Cavaliers. One of the best stories in the Upper Cumberland when it comes to this football season.
So, again, the Cavaliers 3-2 in the region, but Gallatin was also 3-2. Lebanon was also 3-2. And the way the tiebreakers worked out, Lebanon was the 2, Gallatin the 3, and Cookeville the 4, having to go on the road to Oakland. But a big win for the Cavaliers. For Lebanon, though, they've lost 2 out of 3, and they got to host Riverdale.
They got some problems. And
I just hit your mic. That's on me.
Did you?
Talking with my hands.
Okay, there we go.
I literally just hit his mic down.
Fantastic. Lebanon's got some issues. That being said, they're really well coached, and it's a different issue because the second round doesn't, but this region has had a Murfreesboro issue for the past several years. Even last year, Green Hill undefeated. They lose in the first round of the playoffs to Blackman. So everybody has to come correct. Even Green Hill that wins this region, everybody out of Region 4 6A has to have their best effort on Friday night if they want to keep their season going.
So Cookeville beats Lebanon 24-7 on Friday night. They've won 3 games in a row, and they finish out the regular season with a final record of 4-6 and still alive in the playoffs. Stone Memorial beats White County 16-0 in shutout fashion. It's the second straight week for the White County offense that they have been shut out. It was the week before against Upperman, and then obviously against Stone Memorial. Not the prettiest game in the world, according to Goose, in that football game, but able to get the win. Stone hosting a playoff game as well for the first time since 2022, coming up next week. And for Noah Potter, another solid football game, 18 for 24, 202 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air.
I don't know if people realize, maybe Stone fans don't because they always have great quarterback play, and Derek Samber is one of the best quarterback coaches in the state for my money.
Yeah.
200 yards passing is not easy in high school football, especially on a muddy field.
Yeah.
And in his sleep, Noah Potter gets it. He's playing, and I love the way with which Noah Potter plays this position because, and we've talked about it with a few quarterbacks, a lot of times in high school, and there's no problem with this, you can win championships like this. It's your best athlete at quarterback making plays, and if he has a nice arm, it's just a good caveat. There's a difference between that and really understanding the quarterback position and progressing through reads and making the correct decision and pre-snap, understanding what you're seeing. And when you watch Noah Potter play quarterback, he's doing all those things at a really high level. It was interesting because last year, Jacob, I talked with Derek Samber before the season, said, essentially Noah's a freshman for me. It's his first year in the system. Man, he looks like a seasoned vet right now, just in complete command. And I talked about it in the top 5. For all the headlines Alcoa, Anderson County, Greenville, and Upperman get, this Stone team is dangerous because it's not just him. They have great weapons on the outside, but they are playing great defense. Yep. Now, a concern for me looking forward, we'll talk about the game against Loudon, but immediately the gap, launches back up. They had a big problem slowing down this Upperman offense, and you're going to face to go on a run, 4 consecutive offenses that are like Upperman's offense is. So, but that's a problem to get to once you get to it. They're playing at an elite level defensively right now. You combine that with really good coaching, really good quarterback play, and then the maturity this team has had. They have gotten off the roller coaster, right? They have found a way to play really well consecutive back-to-back weeks. Whatever the game dictates that they need to do, they do. If it's 16-0, they figure it out. They need to score 30, they'll score 30. From that perspective, Stone playing great football, and a very interesting discussion to have when it comes to the White County Warriors as well.
Absolutely. So that is the win for Stone Memorial, 16-0. Those were some of the games.
Well, I'm going to talk about White County.
Yeah, absolutely.
72 rushing yards, 2.6 yards per carry. Back-to-back weeks really struggling to run the football. They have got to figure out a way to get right in that department this week because the path to victory for White County is what we saw the first 7 weeks of the season, which is pound the football. And then the other thing that they've not been able to do at a high rate last 2 weeks, White County has to be able to force turnovers because they were able to punt and play defense. There was a lot of drives they would stop, punt and play defense. You hold them to 14 points. That defense got back rolling last week, only allowing 16 points to a prolific offense. but need some short fields, right? It helps you lean into that run game a little bit more if you're starting a drive every once in a while at the opponent's 25-yard line because you forced a turnover. So for White County, I think that's the biggest key right now. It's not burn it down, everything's a disaster. Get back to running the football. That's a no-duh. But the under-the-radar thing, they got to get back to forcing some turnovers. If they can do that, White County can become dangerous again.
We'll talk about White County and Hickson coming up in just a little bit. Let's talk about our broadcast games coming up tomorrow night. We've got 3 broadcast games tomorrow night, 1 broadcast game on Friday. And, of course, we'll talk about all the games across the Upper Cumberland coming up tomorrow and Friday. We start with those Cookeville Cavaliers, the number 4 seed going on the road to number 1 Oakland. The Cavaliers 4-6 on the season, taking on the number 1 team in the state in the Oakland Patriots, who are 10-0. This game's going to be on UCR 3, presented by Watson Chevrolet. Myself and Coach Shanks will be on the call this one tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Mention Oakland. They're the number 1 team in the state, bar none, across maybe classifications.
Certainly public school classifications.
Yeah, public school for sure.
They're right there with Baylor.
Yeah.
I mean, them and Baylor would be an unbelievable football game.
They're scoring 39.5 points a game, but the big thing is their defense is really, really solid this year, only allowing 5.5 points per game. They've got 6 shutouts in 10 games this season. Beat Riverdale last week. It was a close game throughout, able to pull away, win by a couple of scores, 35-21 to win the region, get the 1 seed again. Won last year's 6A state title game against Houston, 42-20. They've won 5 of the last 7. The task is tall for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, the task is tall. And you talk about an Oakland team. Obviously, I have a lot of experience knowing in my backyard growing up as a kid. My wife played basketball at Oakland. My brother-in-law won state championship at Oakland. So Kevin Creasy runs an unbelievable program. And the thing about Oakland is we talk about just winning any way they need to. Last week, 35-21, their arch rival. Doesn't matter. They are not interested in style points at all. They're just going to find a way to win the football game. It is exactly what Taylor Hennigan is trying to instill at Cookeville. Now, the difference is Oakland's got 82-5 and 4 stars. So that's a issue. The only way this is competitive, let's just be honest, long drives, couple of good bounces, force some turnovers, run that play clock down to 1 second, take a snap, get 3 yards, come back to the huddle, take your time, run a play for 3 yards. That style of football game is the only way this is competitive. And it's nothing to do with Cookeville. It's everything to do with that Oakland Patriots team.
One thing to watch out for, one of those 4 stars that he's talking about, Craig Tudd, a running back, also a play on that defensive side. Good. Got hurt against Riverdale last week. We have no clue what his status is coming into this game, but something to watch out for. They also have Joel Wyatt going to Tennessee. Craig Tudd is committed to Ole Miss.
When the transfer in is a guy going to Tennessee, you're going to be just fine.
So they've got a couple of 4 stars that they'll be going to. Joel Wyatt, kind of a wide receiver, but they'll move him kind of all around on that offense. For the Cavaliers, you said it, that's the main thing. They can't have the football. It's similar to how we talk about it, a little bit differently, but similar to how we talk about with Upper Cumberland teams playing Upperman. Yep. You can't put it in the hands of Bronston Chaffin. You can't put it in the hands of that offense. Nope. You've got to have the football in your hands a lot more than they have it in their hands.
They're just really, really good, man. Some teams are great reputationally. We may talk about that next week. We'll see. I don't know. Well, who knows?
Oakland's pretty good reputationally too.
But they're also elite.
Yes.
I mean, they're great at everything. Special teams, kicking game, defense, offense, athletes everywhere, schematically, program, tradition-wise. It's just first class when you go to Murfreesboro to face Oakland. They're the cream of the crop. But listen, to be the man, you got to beat the man. This is why you played Maryville. This is why you played FRA. Right. This is why you schedule those big teams so that you're more prepared for what you're going to see. Now, this is the best version of FRA and the best version of Maryville combined in one opponent. Got to play your best game if you're the Cavaliers.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, Oakland wins. I think you have that common, kind of thought process opponent with Maryville. We saw what that game was. I think Oakland wins 42-7.
I'm going 35-7. Oakland wins this one as well. Let's talk about the Upperman Bees in their game. It's another 4 versus 1 as the Signal Mountain Eagles 4-6 on the season, coming to Baxter to play tomorrow night against the Bees, who are 8-2. This game's going to be on UCR 2, presented by Gentry's Power Equipment.
Playoffs. Sonia Brown with American Way Real Estate.
And Sonia Brown with American Way Real Estate.
Absolutely.
Greg Cantrell and Colin Castleberry will be on the call of this one.
By the way, can I talk about Sonia real
Absolutely.
quick?
Please do.
I've said this before. Has never told me no. Unbelievable.
We very much appreciate it.
And I ask her all the time, for the postseason especially. Always steps up in a major way. Thank you so much, Sonia Brown with American Way Real Estate. Been with me the whole time that I've been here. cannot thank her enough. And you just know if Upperman's in the playoffs, that logo is going up on the screen, the red Sonia Brown logo. So we so appreciate her.
So Craig Cantrell, Colin Castleberry going to be on the call for this one. The Bees, winners of 5 games in a row, scoring 46 points a game and only allowing 9 points a game over that stretch. And obviously we talked about it, a lot of those games against all of those games against teams in the Upper Cumberland. Bronston Chaffin just finished a Mr. Football caliber season. We think he should win it.
Yep.
He's got the numbers to do it as well. Bees played Signal Mountain last year in this round and rolled 49-0.
Yeah,
I think we expect it to kind of go the same way.
I think we're going to talk about Upperman's game next week for about an hour, at least. So we'll give them their play. Then 1,500,000,700,000,000,000 to nothing. It's not even a real number. It is as bad as Upperman wants it to be tomorrow night in Baxter. How about that? Upperman wins until they get the starters out, so it'll be 42-0. They're just, I'm sorry. And Signal Mountain came through for us our first year. We appreciate them. They're always great when we go down there. This is not a fair fight in any way, shape, or form. A lot to a little.
Signal Mountain, they've lost 2 games in a row coming into this. Fell to Hickson last week, 19-9. I'm going Upperman in this one as well.
42-0.
I'll go 49-0 in this one for the Bees. Let's talk about the high school football game of the week, because this one should be a fun one. Noah's going to be on the call of this one. The number 3 Loudon Redskins, 4-6 on the season, at number 2 Stone Memorial, who is 9-1. This game will be on the main UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel, presented by Mayberry's Furniture. Noah McKay, Jeremy Tallis, and Michael Dodgen on the call, coming up tomorrow night at 6:30. 6:30 Central Time.
I got to remember that.
That's right. 30 minutes early. Don't forget.
I'm trying.
I know you get there early, but
I don't know, man.
Don't forget.
I'll do my best.
It'll give you some more time maybe to get up the bleachers there.
Well, for some reason, I always try to do it all in one trip. And so it's
get
good.
your workout
Oh,
in.
no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
That tub is heavy.
Stone Memorial hosting a first-round game for the first time since 2022. The Panthers played at Loudon last year in round 1 of the playoffs. Lost that game 33-21 after leading 21-13. No Noah Potter in that football game last year. Now, of course, these 2 teams have already played this season, and it was back in week 4. Stone Memorial was able to win that football game 42-21. The Panthers, starting with that win, have won 6 games in a row.
Yeah, exactly right. They were able to kick off this winning streak, and we mentioned at the time could be a playoff preview, and then it has turned into a playoff preview. Not sure if this was the seeding we necessarily expected, especially for Loudon, but it is what it is. And, it's interesting to talk about Noah Potter not playing that playoff game last year, having our pregame discussion with Derek Samber earlier on today. Loudon has played a couple of different quarterbacks this season. I said, I'm just assuming Noah's going to start at quarterback. He said, yeah, that's a pretty safe assumption. So he will be out there for the Panthers tomorrow night. And this is an interesting one in that when you have already faced a team, so many more opportunities for adjustments and wrinkles. That being said, Loudon really was only competitive in that game because they popped a couple of long touchdowns, and that's something Stone has done a great job of limiting since that game. I think it kind of showed them some weaknesses maybe there and against Warren County where some explosives were allowed against them. Been a lot better in that department. It's a Loudon team. They're going to run left. They're going to run right. They're going to run down the middle. They may throw it twice unless they're down big, and then they'll go to the quarterback who started the year at quarterback and go back there. But they're going to run. And this is not a comparison because White County is way better, in my humble opinion, especially up front. But a similar sort of scheme of they're trying to establish the run from go. And so for Stone, if they can settle in, I like this matchup from this perspective. Stone's defense has been at their best. Think about the York game, the White County game last week, the DeKalb County game, when they've been able to just funnel their linebackers downhill and run blitz the daylights out of teams. And that is exactly what you have an opportunity to do against this Loudon team. Yes, it's a rematch. I know they won by 21, but I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Panthers, the way they're playing right now. And what I really hope is that it's a huge crowd, because this has not been super common that Stone's got to have home playoff games. They haven't had one since 2022 in Crossville. It's a city that has not had a team ever make the 3rd round of the playoffs. Right. Now, obviously, that's putting the cart way before the horse, but this is the best opportunity that Crossville has had to have a team go to the 3rd round of the playoffs. I think this is a really good 4A football team, Jacob, and I think it's a really good matchup for the Panthers tomorrow night.
For us looking ahead, and again, I always say we're the media, we can look ahead.
Exactly
Coaches, players, they can't look ahead, but we can, and so we're going to talk about it. If you win this game, which we expect them to do, most likely going to have to go on the road to Anderson County.
Yep.
Anderson County's playing volunteer in
they
that
will go
first
on the road
week.
to Anderson County.
It's not an easy place to play.
No.
Obviously, Alcoa just lost their last week 31-30, so the Stowe Memorial team, if they're going to do it, they're going to have to earn it coming up next week.
They're going to have to earn it and then some because the path,
again, assuming they take care of business this
it's
week.
just as we look at these paths for all these teams, there's nobody on the eastern half of the bracket in this state that has an easy path.
Right.
It does not exist, particularly once Alcoa lost.
Yeah.
It just does not exist.
Yep.
There was a world where if Alcoa went and hammered Anderson County last week, we said, okay, that may be your best path. That reality no longer exists to us in this state of Tennessee. So that being said, the path for Stone would be this week at AC, at Greenville, at Upperman or Alcoa. And then Pearl Cone or Springfield.
Yeah.
I think great thing if you're a Stone Memorial fan is you have earned the right to not be a stepped-over team in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
There are other teams we mentioned Anderson County we say they're going to roll this week.
Yeah.
Nobody will be able to say that about this Stone Memorial team. I don't care if it's Loudoun, Anderson County, Greenville, Alcoa, Upperman, White County, anybody. Macon County, none of them will be able to see, oh, we got a layup this week if Stone Memorial comes to town. And that's a testament to the season that they've had, trying to be one of the big boys now. We talked about upper echelon. That's been the thing. And Coach Sanders kind of hit on it post-game that I've said. They're trying to enter the upper echelon. Well, in the regular season, they're in the upper echelon. And you can stay there by knocking off these playoff wins if you're Stone Memorial.
And one of the most impressive things, and we've talked about it throughout, is the defense and what it has done these last couple of weeks. And obviously last week the shutout against a White County team that had been running the football well. Before that was DeKalb County, limit them to just the one score. Have been playing, even before that, Livingston Academy, just the one score as well. They're playing some really good football. We do have to pick it. Who are you going with?
Yeah, Stone Memorial wins. I like them to win more lopsided than they won the first game. Give me the Stone with a little bit of offensive firepower. 49-14. In a round one that usually has blowouts all over the place, why not the Panthers?
I'm going similar score as well. I'm going Stone Memorial. I'll go 41-14.
The only reason it won't be that is because Derek Samber throws the brakes on with a big lead. He's done it the entire season. And if he gets a big lead, the clock will run the entire second half, and it'll be a 20-minute second half, and you're out of there.
So those are our three games, broadcast games coming up tomorrow nights. Once again, UCR 3, Cookeville at Oakland. That is a 7 o'clock game. On UCR 2, Upperman hosting Signal Mountain, also a 7 o'clock game tomorrow night. Our high school football game of the week features Stone Memorial and Loudoun, a rematch of last year's Round 1 playoffs and a rematch of a game that was already played this year in the regular season. Tomorrow night, that'll start at 6:30 Central Time. So that at 6:30 on the main UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel. We have one game, a broadcast game on Friday night as the Macon County Tigers, they got to make the long road trip, which they're getting pretty familiar with, going all the way down to Red Bank in Chattanooga coming up on Friday. The number 4 Macon County Tigers, 7-3 on the season, going to the Red Bank team that won their region title. They're the number 1 seed, 6-4 on the season. This game will be on the main UCR Facebook page and a YouTube channel presented by the Macon Bank and Trust Company. I'll be on there. Tim Case will be on there. Stephen Lancaster as well, coming up 6 o'clock Central Time on Friday night. Macon County coming off the loss against Upperman 48-17. For Red Bank, they beat Loudoun 42-7. And this Red Bank team had a struggle to start the year, 1-4 to start the year, but played a pretty good schedule over those 5 games.
No doubt.
Have since then won 5 games in a row, and were competitive at the start of the year as well in those 4 losses. The only one that wasn't was South Pitt. It was 31-7. This will be the 4th time that these two teams have met going back to 2021. They didn't play last year, but 2 years ago, Macon County was able to get the win in round 2 of the playoffs, 28-7 down at Red Bank. The other 2 times, Red Bank had beaten them the previous 2 years prior to that. So, again, they're getting familiar with each other. Didn't play last year. Macon, though, has the most recent win in history, and we expect this one to be a dogfight.
I do, and Red Bank has had some trouble the past 3 seasons with running teams from the Upper Cumberland, even dating back to that quarterfinal matchup. I think it was 2022 when Upperman came down there and ran through, literally on the ground in that game. It was a good football game. And then White County last year had a lot of success. You mentioned the Macon County victory 2 years ago. So there are reasons, I think, for a lot of optimism if you're a Macon County fan. This is where you certainly saw it last year. I think schematically Macon County has an advantage as they get into the playoffs and then deeper into the playoffs, because there are so few teams. When you think about the wing team, which at its core I think that's what we all associate with this Macon County offense. Now, they can get into the shotgun. They can spread it out. There's no question. And that also makes them dangerous. But you think about wing T. You think single A, you got 12 kids on the team, style of football. When you add in the athleticism of a Matthew Wheely, of a Xavier Bentley, and hopefully Xavier Bentley's okay. He left the game with an injury last week, although the outcome was no longer in doubt. So who knows if he could have toughed it out and gotten back in there in a closer game. It is such a huge advantage for Macon to be able to run this wing T set, and they have not moved this game. And that is very interesting. We think the weather's going to be a little bit better down in Chattanooga than it is up here on Friday.
Not as much of a severe
but
threat.
It could be kind of ugly. And I think that's exactly what Macon County would like it to be as they get started here in this postseason run. This is also an area where the coaching staff and some of these players can lean on the experience they got last year to try to put something together. But I like the matchup on paper with that wing T for Macon County.
Over the 5-game winning streak for this Red Bank team, scoring 35 points a game. They're only allowing 10 points a game with one shutout in there. Hickson scored the most against them over this win streak with 17. So for Macon County offensively, like you said, hopefully that the way they play kind of can throw them off a little bit in terms of the defense. But this Macon County defense, they're going to be tested as well. Yep. This is a Red Bank team that they've been able to score some points over this win streak of 5 games.
And something else that we've seen, though, out of Region 4-4A, Jacob, the strength of this region. And when they go outside of this region, how much success they have and how I think it can fool you sometimes into going 7-3 versus 6-4. It's a 1 versus a 4. Yeah, the 1 versus 4 doesn't matter when they put the ball down, right? And I don't think anybody with their head on straight can argue that Region 4 is not significantly stronger top to bottom than Region 3 is. And so, yes, Red Bank, listen, there is no shame, especially to losing to Tyner and South Pitt, or Ray County and Bradley Central for that matter. But they have been able to roll some wins off here against certainly not playing White County and Stone and Upperman the way that Macon County has in the 3 games that they dropped. So I think it's an opportunity for Macon County. What did they do last year when they had to face the Chattanooga team? Rolled down to Soddy Daisy, and Soddy was bouncing. They were like, this is our year, and it immediately was not their year. We understand it's not the same Macon County roster, but it's still the Macon County Tigers. Yep. And so can they go in there and turn this thing into a rock fight? Because you know the Tigers are going to be very comfortable in a rock fight on the road on Friday night.
Be interesting as well in terms of the atmosphere for Red Bank. They haven't been home since the 17th. Haven't played a home game for a while.
They will not. There
will be a lot of Macon County.
I've done quarterfinal games there. I've done second-round games there. And listen, the ones who were there, we did baseball.
Yep.
First-class organization. The athletic director is awesome. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just not big crowds down there, really, at a lot of those schools in Chattanooga. I promise you, bet my reputation on it, there will be more Macon County fans than Red Bank fans on Friday night.
For Macon County, this is their 4th game in a row on the road. After they had their bye, they obviously played Stone Memorial going into that bye. Ever since then, they've been on the road. They went to Barron County, went to Livingston Academy, went to Baxter. Now got to go on the long road trip all the way down to Red Bank and Hamilton County coming up on Friday. Again, this game on Friday. So another long road trip, but those Macon County fans, they're used to making those road trips, and they'll be out there in full force.
And if they win, they get to go to Elizabethton next week, which I think takes 4 days to get to from Lafayette, actually. So, we've talked about this, Jacob. There's a galvanizing thing. Get on a bus with your boys and go down there and try to win a football game, and especially in the playoffs, trying to extend your season. I expect a professional approach out of the Tigers.
This will start at 6 o'clock Central Time coming up on Friday. Who are you going with?
You know, I started today thinking I was going to pick Red Bank, and I've talked myself into Macon County. I'm taking Macon County to win a football game 28-21.
I'm starting to lean that way.
You talked your way into it, too?
I'm starting to lean that way. The picks aren't official on this show. They'll come out tomorrow morning. As of right now, I'll go Red Bank 21-14.
Why do you hate Macon County?
I don't know.
Golly.
I don't know.
See, you don't have to comment it. I just asked him directly.
So those are our broadcast games coming up tomorrow and Friday. That one, the only game on Friday, and we told you about the games on Thursday. Go through all those coming up in just a little bit. A lot of other games going on across the Upper Cumberland coming up tomorrow night. So let's go through the ones tomorrow night first, and then there's a couple of games coming up on Friday. A couple of 6 o'clock games. Copper Basin at Clay County, White County at Hickson. Obviously, that one is on Eastern time zone for Hickson, so White County having to go on the road there. For Clay County, I think we expect them to handle business by a lot to a little.
$500 billion, $600 million to nothing. That is a real number. I didn't get it backwards. That one is a real number. Clay County rolls, and by the way, I think they roll the first 2 weeks of the postseason and then get to take their crack at a really good South Pittsburgh team. But I think Clay County a heavy favorite tomorrow.
Now this White County team, number 3 seed, going on the road to number 2 Hickson. We were there a couple of years ago with Stone Memorial when they were able to get that win there. This is a game that we feel like they can win. We feel like they're the better football team coming into this game. However, they have not played well offensively these last couple of weeks.
Very interesting game. There's something about the 3 seed at a Region 4-4A that seems to have a little something to it. You're right. The offense has gone a little bit stagnant for White County. There's no doubt about that. And we talked about the line between having a running identity and being one-dimensional.
Played very good defenses.
Exactly where I was going. They've played 2 of the state's elite.
Yeah.
And Stone defensively has turned into one of the state's elite over the past few weeks, as we talked about a lot earlier in the show. So certainly not that level of challenge. Now, the interesting thing is, we talked about the culture and how great David Foster has been at building that. And when they were winning, it was, this is who we are. But I've said it a lot. I said it about Cookeville. Your culture doesn't get tested when things are going well. Your culture gets tested when things are going poorly. The good news is, I believe in what David Foster and this staff are instilling in this team, and I think the team has the right mindset. But you've had 4 quarters or 8 consecutive quarters of shutout football against you. I think the first quarter is pivotal, and I think the first drive is pivotal. Because if White County can come out here to Hickson tomorrow night and hit them right in the mouth, right down the field with Cole Sims getting rolling again, a guy who was in the discussion for Mr. Football, and I think as skilled as anybody, and a great runner of the football, and an offensive line that wants to get out there and mash somebody. If they can get out there on the first drive, if we get that score update and it's 7-0 White County with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, chalk it up. They're about to roll through the game. I think it can become an oppressive force against you, though, if you don't have that fast start. Always want it. I think it's critical tomorrow on the road against a team that has not had any real postseason success to go out there, take control of the game early, and feel like you're back in a rhythm for a team that also has an incredibly difficult path. If you win this week, you get to go to Greenville.
Yeah.
And Greenville may be the best team in the class.
Yeah.
Ranked number 1 right now, and I think that's how I would have it ranked 2 after what happened last week. So not an easy path, but guess what? Not easy for those other teams either because they have to face the White County Warriors.
So White County going on the road to Hickson coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Central Time, with it being on the Eastern Time Zone. An Upper Cumberland versus Upper Cumberland matchup in round 1 of the playoffs. Number 4 York Institute at number 1 Gordonsville. This will be tomorrow night at 7 o'clock as well. Of course, York Institute had a heck of a football game last week against Marion County. Ended up losing 21-14, but played a heck of a football game, able to play themselves here into the playoffs. The Gordonsville Tigers, though, we've been saying it pretty much all season. We think they've got a good shot at winning the 2A state championship.
I think we're maybe the only people interested around the state in a 1-9 versus 10-0, but it is interesting because in my mind, York is more like a 5-5 football team. When you consider the schedule that they had to play and that scheme. We just talked about the wing team with Macon. You get the single wing.
It's weird.
And the single wing in some ways is even more weird than the wing T is with all the misdirection and the different snaps. And yes, last week I think York was unquestionably, as we went back and looked at it, favored by a complete mud pile. Marion County was not ready to handle that. But that's all York wants to do is come turn it into a mud pile. And 3 clouds and a cloud of dust. And they're a scary team because I agree. I talked about, I think Gordonsville by far our best chance to have a team win a state championship. But York is the kind of team that brings you into the deep water. Because if they get the ball first, you may look up and there's 2 minutes to go in the quarter and they just scored a touchdown and you start to go, oh, man, what's going on?
They did it against Upperman.
Exactly. So, yes, I think Gordonsville's a heavy favorite, but a testament to York that they've stayed so locked in. And if they play the way they played last week on defense, don't be surprised if this one is closer than you think at halftime or in the second half.
So York Institute at Gordonsville coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
And by the way, even if it is closer, remember I said that even if it's, a 2-score game in the third quarter and everybody around the state's going, whoa, it won't change at all what I've said about Gordonsville.
Right.
led by Jay Foster, a great defense and a really good coaching staff, and the run they can go on. I think York is just under everybody's radar. And by the way, a team that knows what it takes to win in the postseason. They still are.
That's true.
At least for another week, a team that's made 3 straight semifinals.
That's true. The other 4 versus 1, also on the other side of this region, is another really interesting one. Jackson County secured their first winning season since 2016 with the win last week against Grundy County. Marion County obviously going on the road to York Institute, able to get the win but didn't play their best football. They're not the same Marion County from a year ago as well. Jackson County going to have to go on the road to Marion County coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Going to be a very tough matchup for these Jackson County Blue Devils, but going to be interesting to see what they can do on the road at Marion County.
Now, is there a reality where Marion County wins this game walking away? Sure. If Jackson County plays the way they played the last 2 weeks and Marion County plays the way they played last week, Jackson County can win this football game without question. Now, it's a tall task. You're going on the road to a defending state champ. In 2A, considering all those circumstances, I think it's the most interesting 1 versus 4 matchup in that classification. Jackson County has found something on offense in particular, but their defense has been really good. They went and held Cumberland County. Then they had a good performance against a Grundy County team that's won a lot of games this year. This one, even more so than the last one we talked about, watch for it to be sneaky close. Won't surprise me in the least. And this seems like a team that gets to play with house money that no one's expecting to do anything, that we've thought is going to be really good. Yeah. Now, I've been way off on Jackson County the entire season. High on them early, missed a couple of picks, went away from picking them, all that. But I like the moxie they're playing with, and they have absolutely nothing to lose going on the road tomorrow night.
So they're going on the road tomorrow night to Marion County, the defending 2A state champions. Couple of games coming up on Friday night. This one's really interesting. Yep. Smith County, the number 3 seed, going on the road to number 2 Bledsoe County. Bledsoe County team that's played some pretty good football this year. Smith County lost to Gordonsville last week, have played well at times, just not quite sure what to make of this Smith County team. But if they can put it together, this is a winnable game for them.
Yeah. What is the quarterback situation like for Smith County? That's an interesting question. If Riley Martin's out there, they're a very dangerous team. Even if he's not, they're a dangerous team. Bledsoe County has been nearly impossible to get a read on.
Yeah.
There have been moments where they've looked like world beaters. There have been moments where they've looked like they could lose to anybody. What kind of fire does Smith County have coming off that gut-wrenching loss at Tellico Plains and then just a little bit outgunned last week against Gordonsville? I don't feel like they're super outgunned in this game, but they haven't shown that consistency yet. But everybody's 0-0 right now, and a very interesting 2-3 matchup. I think if you just polled around the state, you get a pretty split response on this game. It's one of the better games on the board.
So that one coming up on Friday. The other game coming up Friday, Red Boiling Springs going to South Pittsburgh.
Yeah, get out of there healthy, please.
Good luck.
Get out of there healthy. So
those are the games that we got coming up this week in round 1 of the playoffs. We'll take you through our broadcast games once more. Coming up tomorrow night, Thursday night, our first game at 6:30 is the high school football game of the week presented by Mayberry's Furniture, Stowe Memorial, and Loudon on Thursday night at 6:30. At 7 o'clock, we will have on UCR2 Upperman and Signal Mountain. UCR3 is Cookeville and Oakland. Friday night, the Macon County Tigers go on the road to Red Bank. Played them quite a bit these last few years, going back to 2021. This will be the 4th time they've played them in those last 5 years. Not playing last year for the first time in a while, but they'll go on the road coming up Friday night. That'll be a 6 o'clock Central Time start time. We'll have that game on the main UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel. We'll have the Thursday night End Zone Show presented by the Real Estate Collective coming up tomorrow night, and we'll get you ready for that Macon County game as well. On Saturday, this guy right here is going to take my job. He's going to go on the road.
Never. Couldn't do that.
With the number 5 Tennessee Tech Golden Eagle football team, number 7 in the playoff rankings. That came out yesterday as well. Yep. So they're playing some really good football. A gutsy win last week against Gardner-Webb on homecoming. They're going to Eastern Illinois. Noon kickoff on 106.1 The Eagle. Noah will be the sideline reporter coming up on Saturday.
Live microphone, baby.
That's right. And then we'll be back here for the UCR Football Show. We'll probably be talking a little bit of basketball as well coming up next Wednesday here on the rooftop of Fire and Vine.
Love it. Let's go, baby.
Got anything else?
Listen, we are in go mode. It's content, constant, all the time, as it has to be. Thanks to the sponsors for making it possible. Thanks to all you for watching. By the way,
That's right.
6.1 million views during the regular season. And I was thinking about that. You know what's interesting is, and this is genuinely not a shot at anybody else at all, but a lot of times you'll get, one post will go super viral. You'll get like 3 million views on a post. It gets picked up by ESPN or somebody, and that can inflate your numbers. We haven't had that. Now, listen, I would love to have that. But
That'd be great.
Ours, if you look at it, you see on Fridays they go up some, but it is very consistent. That is a real number. People love to lie about their numbers. That is a real number. It is a ton of views. And we appreciate all of you for making it possible.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the athletes who put on a show in the regular season.
Absolutely.
Go time in the playoffs. Basketball practice has started. It's a busy time for us, and we're juiced up about it.
Shout out Coach Trapp as well.
Absolutely.
Coming up.
Yeah, we had to talk about that. Yeah.
Coach Steve Trapp with the DeKalb County Tigers, 21 seasons with DeKalb County. He is not going to be back with the DeKalb County Tigers. They got the win over Livingston Academy on Friday in comeback fashion as well. We had the broadcast coverage of that football game. I know you got a chance to talk to him both before and after the game. It's always a fun time talking with Coach Trapp, even talking with him before the season got started this year. Does it the right way. Absolutely, and has served his community for so many years there at DeKalb County. Tip of the cap to him as he steps away.
Fantastic career as head coach of the Tigers. He's been down there. There's an entire generation of kids that don't know anything other than Steve Trapp as head coach of the Tigers. So there's adults.
Yeah.
There may be people here around having a drink tonight at Fire and Vine who don't know anything other than that. So, just a tremendous career for him. He is as classy as they come. As you said, he absolutely does it the right way. Congrats on a great run, and whatever he wants to do in the future, who knows? I told him he can come call games for us anytime he wants to. So I hope to be able to finagle him into that. But regardless, tip of the cap on a great run in DeKalb County.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It is round one of the playoffs coming up tomorrow night and Friday here in Tennessee. We are so excited for it. Thank you so much to all the sponsors for making everything that we do possible. Thank you so much to Fire and Vine for having us here live on the rooftop for the UCR Football Show. That's Noah McKay. I'm Jacob Vinson. We'll talk to you tomorrow.